Moving on to the top focus of the hour, the Kremlin has said on Tuesday that it welcomed US President Donald Trump's desire to focus on the search for a peace deal to end the fighting in Ukraine after achieving a ceasefire in Gaza, and hoped that he would be able to push Kyiv towards a settlement. Russia accuses Ukraine of stalling negotiations and of not making good on an idea of setting up working groups to consider potential aspects of a deal. Meanwhile, Ukraine accuses Moscow of not being serious about a deal and of putting forward conditions that are good as asking Ukraine to surrender. With us on the broadcast is Professor Vasilin Popovsky, Professor and Vice Dean, Jindal Global Law School, with us from New Delhi. Thank you for your time on NewsX World. I'd like to understand from you, Kremlin welcoming Trump's peace focus. What exactly do you make of it?
Well, Kremlin is trying to achieve with Donald Trump what they cannot achieve by any other means, by military means. They are basically stuck in the war. They are losing soldiers every day. They don't advance anywhere. So they are using Trump as a leverage to get what they cannot get with their military in Ukraine. And obviously this is a lost cause, causa perduta. They will not achieve anything, even less with Donald Trump, such an erratic and inconsistent president. And it's a very clear conflict. If Israel-Gaza was kind of different, where you have to kind of blame both sides for war crimes, here it's very clear Russia is committing war crimes daily, killing civilians, shelling cities, whereas Ukraine is defending its territory. Ukraine is defending its right to survive. And there is no other way out of this without strong pressure on Russia to withdraw from Ukraine and strong support for Ukraine, including with all the military equipment and tomahawks and all other weapons that Ukraine needs to defend its territory. So there is only one direction. Ukraine needs to be supported with every possible military means, and Donald Trump will do that. He already mentioned tomahawk could be one way of putting pressure on Putin to withdraw from Ukraine. Russia violated international law, committed war crimes. It needs to withdraw. It needs to get to a ceasefire. There were 7 suggestions by Donald Trump for a ceasefire, all of them denied by Kremlin. Kremlin didn't accept any, even 30-day ceasefire, a period from which could be useful to negotiate a peace agreement. Obviously, with that behavior, there is only one way ahead here.
Absolutely. Professor Popovsky, I'd also like to understand from you, now there's been a lot of foot dragging as far as the peace deal is concerned. What is the kind of effort that is required to essentially have a resolution between the two countries?
The demand is absolutely unacceptable. He demands to have even more territory from what they could occupy for 3.5 years. The Russian military do not advance anywhere. They cannot get into the entire territory of Donetsk, Kherson, Zaporozhye, Luhansk as well, to a large sense. So the advance of Russian army can be compared to a snail, the slowest animal on earth. If a snail moved on 22nd February from Bryansk, that snail would have been in Berlin today. This is the speed of Russian army, a snail, even less than that. They are not even in Pokrovsk yet. So Russia is trying to get territory that they cannot get with military. And that's absolutely unacceptable. Russia should go back home, and that's the way for a peace deal. There is nothing else to negotiate. Putin should make a phone call to the generals and say, stop the fire and withdraw the troops from the Ukrainian territory. This is the only way the international law will allow this to end.
Right, absolutely. Professor Popovsky, thank you so much for your time speaking to us on NewsX World. We move on to some other big news that we have been tracking. Well, 2 cabinet members of Trump's administration